The Rift Breaker debuted on October 14th on Xbox Game Pass for Xbox Series consoles and for Windows PCs. So far, I really like the game. It's basically a hybrid game, combination between a strategy base building game and, in my opinion, I would say a twin stick shooter, but they call it an action adventure game with survival elements and base building, a little bit of RPG elements mixed in. But basically, I see three different major gameplay elements. You have your base building, which is very similar to an RTS. The game gives me very strong StarCraft vibes, but I think that's just because it is a sci fi universe and there are alien creatures and an alien setting. Things of this nature give me, like I said, that kind of StarCraft feel to it. And the fact that you do harvest resources and build certain structures to gain certain abilities. All that reminds me of a real time strategy game. It does play out in real time. Swarms of enemies can attack you while you're in the middle of other tasks, and you have to divert your attention to go, deal with them. The other side of it is the control of the character. This is an isometric view, or not isometric, but like top down. So you play a character in a mech suit, and the mech suit has the weapons you use and the building capabilities and all that. You directly control this character, unlike an RTS, where generally you control multiple units and move them around a map. In this case, you are the only movable unit, and you run around constructing objects and harvesting resources and dealing with enemies on your own. There is no drone units or soldiers or specialty attack units, any of that kind of stuff. You don't build any of that. So the way you control those, left stick moves the character around, right stick turns the character in place, and of course you have your triggers to use for your weapons and attacks. So to me, it feels a lot like playing a twin stick shooter combined with base building and RPG elements. You can, but basically, the setting of the game is a distant, faraway planet that your character has been sent to begin harvesting resources and essentially like building up a colony and finding out what kind of flora and fauna inhabit this planet. And of course, it turns out that basically all the fauna on the planet is hostile to you. And in the middle of your building your base, harvesting resources, you'll have just like random attacks, or if you go wandering out into the jungle looking for resources and chopping down trees, you'll run into enemies that will attack you. But there are also like these, I guess they'd be like mega swarms that the game will warn you are approaching, and you'll have like a certain amount of time to prepare for them, to build your base defenses and get yourself ready to go before they arrive. So that is kind of nice that it's not just like constant waves of enemies. It doesn't feel like a what do you call those things, tower defense game at all. But it is definitely you're building up base defenses in preparation for those enemies. The basic buildings, you start out with your headquarters, and from there everything else spawns. You have the ability with your mech suit to actually harvest many of the resources yourself. With your blade weapon, you can chop down like plants and trees and mushrooms and small ore deposits that you can collect. There's two major ores that you collect: carbonium and ironium, which are basically just carbon and iron, but with a sci-fi sound to it. You will find patches on the ground that are basically deposits of ore that you can go to, and you can manually harvest these if you need them until you have enough to build an actual harvester there, like an actual base that collects those resources for you. So you build a headquarters, you build your harvesters of carbonium, ironium, But then you've also got to have power. You have multiple options for this. You start out with basic solar panels, but of course there's actually a day night, like a day night cycle and weather cycles, which is really cool touches to have in a game like this. Just adds that extra layer of detail to it, things that you have to consider as you build. But you could build solar panels. They're basically solar and wind. They're like the cheapest things, but they're, of course, just like in real life, they're unreliable. So you can build the solar panels, but you're not going to get any energy from them at night. Or if there's a storm or a dust storm, it's going to drastically slow down the energy you collect from them. So you also have the ability to have wind farms, or excuse me, windmills. The windmills are very consistent, like they just kind of sit there spinning, collecting, but it's at a lower rate. And of course, like if you have, there's windstorms that will come through that will actually like supercharge them. So that's a good time to have a whole bunch of them built. So those are like your basic energy production that you need to run all of your other stuff. Once you have a couple of those going and you have your harvesters going, you can actually build a carbonium or a plant biomass power station. So the carbonium power station goes on the same ore deposit, but of course you're using up the ore that could be harvested. But you're getting that reliable high power, and it's consistent. It's not really going to be affected by storms or weather or anything like that. Then you can also build a plant biomass energy generator. The plant biomass is collected when you basically run around chopping down the trees and plants and stuff. You get a lot of that collected that you can use. So you have these options. Everything has to be connected. There's a bunch of little infrastructure twists to this game, but everything has to be connected by little power lines. So you drop this little circular pod in a certain area on the grid, and it'll show you where it connects to everything else and powers everything up and keeps the whole thing connected. So technically, you can have a windmill in one place connected to something, on the other side of the map, giving it power. I mean, it's not really the best way to go, but you can do this. You can map out your own way of building up your bases and transferring power from here to there. And of course, you can build basically batteries, like power. They hold power for you, so that say you have wind and solar, and because they're inconsistent, well, that's okay because you built up a charge in these energy cells that will power things when your energy slows down or stores excess power. And then you also have the same thing when it comes to carbonium and ironium. You can build essentially what are silos to contain excess materials. Then for defenses, you can build these gates and walls around your base, and of course, all these things upgrade over time. If you have enough resources, and if you upgrade your headquarters, it allows you to upgrade your different other components of your base. The turrets that you place around that will protect everything for you and help you out, those basically, not only do they need to be connected to the power grid, but you have things called AI cores. And you start out with like 4 or 8, something like that. That's how many you can build. But the turrets, each one uses one up, and I believe there might actually be other buildings that use them as well. But you also, so you could build basically these it's like another form of generator essentially, but it creates these AI cores for you. It's like a computer building basically. Anyways, so you have to build those up, connect it to your power grid to allow you to build more turrets. You get enough of those, you can build tons of turrets around your base to protect it when you're not there, or to keep you from getting overrun when you have like these mega swarms that appear. So overall, I've had fun with this game. I'm not a huge fan of RTSs, not since StarCraft. That was a great game, but especially because I'm a console player, I don't necessarily like these games where you have in real time, you're trying to rush around and select units and send them to do things. So I feel like this game is a really good compromise on that. Like, you have most of the elements of a real-time strategy game, but you've condensed it into this base building setting where you control the one unit and you run around and can explore the map, explore the world, fight off enemies, destroy um, their nests basically to slow down their attacks. And it's really lush. Graphics are fantastic. There's multiple different settings on this world, so you get you definitely get a variety of places where you get to enjoy this game. It's extremely replayable. I'm not like very far along in the game myself, but I've definitely played enough of it to get a first impression and know that I'm going to continue to play this game. And as per usual, it's easy to recommend, in a sense that it is on Xbox Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass, just download the game and give it a shot. Or if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you have the ability to cloud stream. So I've found that that's become a more reliable feature recently. So no reason not to give that a shot. Once again, if you don't necessarily want to go full on and install a game and you want to just give it a little shot, play a little bit, play the tutorials, then do that and then decide to install it. Either way, I think that the Rift Breaker is a pretty cool game, worth giving a shot, and hopefully this has been informative and you enjoy the game. I'm going to have a little bit of just pure gameplay here at the end so that you can hear the sound and see what goes on in the game.
This looks like a nest of some sort. We should clear it out and reduce the strength of hostile attacks.
There is a lot of them inside. This might be difficult.
This should stop them from gathering in this area and improve our chances of survival.
Every bit helps.
Steel storage is full. Build more storage facilities.